Hey there, everyone. My name is Adam, and today I have Raf on from Meadow Luxury Rentals. He specializes in
Hi.
luxury. How you doing today, Raf?
I'm very good, Adam. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. All right, so we're gonna get into luxury rentals, but why don't you give a background on yourself and how you got to where you're at right now?
Right, so my background is actually I'm basically a my whole background is user experience. So I'm a professional user experience designer. So we build digital products. So that's what we've been doing for like nearly 15 years as a contractor. But I always was interested in design, like interior design and properties as well. So 4 or 5 years ago, I together with my partner, we bought this beautiful luxury penthouse in London. And we were at that time thinking about, well, my partner was thinking to do it as a long-term thing, but I was never convinced. I was like, always thinking like, there's a really business opportunity here. And I was like, you know what, let's do short-term. And she was really not that convinced. So she's like, let's just give it a try. And it really took off in a major way. And so we bought another apartment, another penthouse right next to it in the same building, and took off as well. So it was really great, and we were outperforming the market by 300%. Airbnb at that time in year one, the end of year one was they send these quarterly emails and they
Yeah.
say, how you're performing. And so we basically were outperforming like the rest of London, like three-bedroom apartments by 300%. And that was because we were offering something that nobody else did. And that was like an elevated user experience or like really high-end interiors. And I always had that vision in the beginning because it's something also where my passion lies. But also I knew that there was something to differentiate ourselves from everybody else, you know. So long story short, so we started attracting homeowners. Like, people started talking like, "Hey, Raf, what are you doing? It's really cool," and blah, blah, and this and that. And so we start managing other people's homes as well in the same area. And and we've always been very, very picky about what properties we take on because it had to be sort of fitting what we do. And it was only the time we started managing other people's properties that I set up a brand, because the first two penthouses were not as a brand. It was just me personally having an Airbnb profile. But then I was thinking much bigger for like, what if we scale? What if we create a whole brand, whole experience around this? And my experience in digital design really helped here. Like, the UX design, I could build my website, I can make it all look really, really nice. And so we built a brand. And that's when we start managing other people's homes. And now we're managing eight luxury properties. So, and yeah, never look back.
Right. Yeah. So I was looking at your website. I did notice that you're also managing other people's as well as having your own large scale operation
Yeah,
going on.
exactly. At the moment, it's like two that we own, and the other six. Well, there's actually six. There's only five on the website, but well, there's one more coming live. We just signed a lease this week with a new homeowner and brand new three-bedroom apartment in the same area, so it's easy for us to manage. And so we're gonna be prepping that, make it all guest ready. Do all the marketing for it, all the photography, and make sure it's like an absolutely top-notch condition. So we're gonna be working around the clock next week to get that all done. So that's why it's gonna be eight. So two owned by us, six managed for on behalf of other homeowners. Yeah.
Right. Now, before I get into my next question, I wanted to let all the viewers know that Raf is doing coaching for luxury high-end rentals. That
Yeah.
information is going to be down in the description. It's not exactly live yet, so if it's not there, it will be there shortly. So everyone check the description. He's going to help people like me. I own an Airbnb, but it doesn't look luxury.
Yeah.
Get to that luxury point because there's a higher price point. What differentiates luxury versus just your regular thing? Like, what do you need to do to be able to put that label on?
Well, you have to think about well, first of all, is the visuals, right? And I'm not just saying like making great pictures and getting a professional photographer, and these are like a given, getting a professional pictures. I mean, everybody knows this. You're not going to go just around with your little crappy camera, um, but it is thinking about every single customer touch point. And this is where my UX background comes in really handy because as a user experience designer, I know about pain points and how to alleviate them and how to address them. And you think about literally like omni-channel, we call it, right? So omni-channel basically means like you don't only think about the aesthetics of the place, but also like what will they need when they are there? How can we make the check-in and the checkout painless? How can we create like an elevated experience that will attract people who are not bargain hunters, but these are people who are actually looking not for the cheapest price, but they are looking for an experience. And that's the difference. The people that we attract, and that's the key word here, they're looking for an experience. They're not looking for the cheapest place in that area. And that, if you can put, it's like having an Apple phone or like another one. Like people, they know they can get cheaper phones, but they're going to get the Apple one because they know the experience is absolutely top notch. And it's exactly the same with us. Like, we have people from Dubai, China, Hong Kong, America. They could go anywhere in London, but they choose us because they can see that that's where they're going to get a great experience. But the in terms of setting up the place, you have to, of course, spend a little bit extra money, but you're going to get that return on investment immediately. And
Right.
we're talking like in a matter of months. Typically, if you read like most books on Airbnb, they're saying like, oh, there's like this formula they have, like you should solve, if there's your rental, like there's the kind of percentage you should spend on furniture. And they're all kind of like around a couple of £1,000 mark or a couple of $1,000 mark, right? Now we are way above that. But we get that back in 4 months, 4 or 5 months. We got that back, and everything else in the future is just like much, much more profit and better guests, because you attract people who are not only like, they're the kind of people who are looking for a nice experience. So they are not kind of less troublesome, I would say. You don't get these really, really guests that people are worried about, throwing massive parties, or they're going to wreck your place, so you get a different type of, I don't want to call it elite. That sounds a little bit elitist, but
Right.
you know what I mean, right?
Yes, I do.
You get these really good guests. Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, because we get a lot of horrible guests. Our place is quite expensive. My place is a 12,000 square foot barn converted into a house, so it is quite expensive. But when you get 30 people splitting the bill, it's to each person, it's pretty cheap. You mentioned like the user experience. Like, what are some things like with check-in and other things that you're talking about that make it that user experience you're looking for?
Well, we have like first of all, very high touch service. By high touch service, I mean everybody nowadays, and rightly so, is going for like contactless check-in, because of COVID and everything. People just want that, and we offer that, and we understand people's wants and needs and worries that they have. However, pre-COVID, but also now, like that, people are a little bit less now. It's starting to get a little bit more back to normal. We get that high touch service back. That means that we are in constant communication with them. We meet up with them if we can. Of course, we wear masks and everything, so face masks. So we very, very correct in that respect. But that personal touch is what we can give them, right? But we don't force it on them. If they want to self check in, that's fine. We have log boxes. We got all of that most people suggest, like automate everything. But at the same time, we show them around the apartment. We give them personal service. We have people like who show them how to use the appliances. They actually take the map out. They show them where to go, and it's that kind of like high touch service that high net worth individuals come to expect when they go back to the Four Seasons Hotel, for example. In fact, talking about the Four Seasons, we had a person a couple of months ago who stayed at our place. He's like a business traveler, and he said he left a fantastic review. We put it on the homepage of our website because we're so proud of it. And he said, like, this is the first experience that actually surpassed the Four Seasons.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, my back was standing up. I was like, oh my God, wow. We are actually doing something that people really appreciate. It's not just just in our heads, like, oh, we are this or that. People really think that way, and that means something. So when people ask me a lot of times, like, who do you think your competitors are? My competitors are not like the next Airbnb next door. My competitors are like the Four Seasons, these high-end hotels. These are my competitors, and that's how I see it also growing to the future.
Right. That's very interesting. So like during their stay, what are some things that might come up where you're going to be high touch? Like, do you clean more often? Like, you clean while they're there? Do you
Yeah,
like, yeah.
exactly. We are very we've got a very thorough cleaning service. We insist actually when people stay longer than one week, we insist on having at least 2 hours of cleaning every week. When we say insist, we don't go like, oh, you need to clean your place. We go like, okay, for your own comfort and to make sure our apartments stay in top-notch condition for future guests, we offer you a complimentary 2-hour cleaning service every week. And then they can also arrange additional hours this as well. So 2 hours is complimentary, and they can add additional hours if they want to.
Okay.
And people always really like that. We get to keep really, really nice places. If they want additional days, that's fine. They can organize that. But 2 hours is compulsory. But we don't sort of like describe it that way. But you know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So would you also like maybe take their laundry and do it for them, or
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have, well, our housekeepers, they're like really, really nice. I know the place is inside out. So not only will they actually do the actual clean the place and the bathrooms and the linen and everything, but if guests want to, for example, have like any laundry done, then they don't necessarily always do it themselves, but we definitely will tell them where they can go, or we collect it for them, and then we can sort of just drop it off for them. So it's like a laundry service.
Gotcha.
Most people don't really opt for that because all our places are brand new, really lovely places, and they all got like washer dryers of Siemens, really high quality ones. So most people just like the comfort of just do their own laundry, but we offer that as a service, absolutely. And yeah, and also about check-in, we offer like taxi. We can arrange a taxi for them to and from the airport. It's things like that. Like it's looking at, if you were the Four Seasons or a hotel, of course you don't have the amenities that a big hotel has, but try to get as close as possible to that within the means that you have.
Right.
Try to think that, so start from there and then break it down to what you can actually achieve with what you have, and then you're on your way, because then you can always, the means can improve over time.
Right.
You can add and add, but you all got to think big and then just pull back to what you can do.
So for someone who has like a nice looking place that has the ability to become luxury with the decorations and furniture and stuff, what is like the percentage? Like if they're at a certain amount, what kind of percentage above is a luxury place like yours with that high touch service and stuff? Like what can convince them to go that? Well, obviously money can convince them. So I guess I'm trying to ask like how much more can you get as opposed to just being a regular old short-term rental?
You mean like the nightly rate, how much more we can charge?
Yeah, like not exact, I know, but like percentage wise, maybe.
Percentage wise, I would say we can charge at least about, I would say, 2.5 times to 3 times.
Wow. Okay. That's
Yeah. So to give you an example, we have a few penthouses, and the average rate in that particular area for a 3-bedroom normal apartment would be something like 120, 130, maybe 140 a night. We charge like 450, 500 a night,
okay.
and we get that,
That's
and
amazing.
yeah.
All right. So for me, I don't know like what to look for to make to decorate it and get the right furniture. What kind of furniture and decorations are you looking for? And if you could, for the people not inclined like you are, like what are some websites we can look at so we're like, all right, that's high-end furniture. That's what I should be looking at.
Okay, so I'm not going to give like any specific website, but I
Okay.
can give you some guidance, like where you can start. So the most important thing is it's like, you could think of it like, imagine if you were putting this in a magazine. What would that look like? If like these beautiful fashion magazines, you got these beautiful home decor magazines, right?
Yeah.
Try to visualize that. Try to see like what would make this amazing, attractive. And straight away, if you start from that particular perspective, that makes all the difference, because you can see from those interiors they're coherent. There's a flow to them. It's everything works in harmony. So the key is what I typically do. I put everything on on the computer. Like I create a mood board. That's kind of how interior designers work. But if you're not an interior designer, it's fine, because you can always ask maybe a friend who is one. Or you can get the services of somebody who does that really well. But I would always say, like, before you buy, don't just randomly buy stuff. Just put it on the screen, picture the room, put little things on it. You can just paste into like PowerPoint or something, just on the page. Either just copy it from, just screen grab it from Google, to nice websites. Go to places like Etsy, or like we get even stuff on eBay, because you get really nice quirky stuff to give it some character.
Right.
And then we go to other higher end places, where you buy some really like an attention grabbing key piece, which is another thing that I think is important. Every room needs to have a key focus piece, and spend money on that.
Okay.
Don't make that cheap. Don't make that it's okay to spend £500 or £1,000 on something that makes that room special, right?
Right.
It could be like a piece of art. It could be a statue. It could be the headboard of the bed. It could be the desk and the chair that's like absolutely incredible, and everything else can be okay. It's a bit like, when people like fashion people, right? There's some people who really can make anything look expensive. They've got, let's say, a cheap dress. Here we got a place in London called Primark. It's like really, really cheap stuff. You can wear a cheap dress. You put beautiful jewelry, and you dress it really nicely. The dress is still cheap, but the lady looks expensive. It's
Right.
the same thing, right? Like, you have a room, and in that room, you can have cheap stuff. You can go to like places that that are very affordable, like IKEA and all, etc., etc. But if you have a few things in there scattered around and a key focus point, and spend all your money on that, that room will look like $1 million.
Right. I also noticed on a lot of your listings, it's very clean and not overly decorated. It's like a little more sparse, and you kind of notice that things. I'm in the party rental business, and when there's a very, very high end event, a regular person's going to come in and be like, "This is kind of boring," but there's expensive, glassware. There's tasteful things. Is that kind of like something you should follow? Like, don't go too crazy with decorations everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's the right balance. Like, you want sparsity, also creates a sense of luxury. If you look at all the magazines and you look at these beautiful rooms, they're empty, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever see a room that's in a magazine that's like full of stuff everywhere? You never. That always looks like super empty. Sometimes like look on adverts on TV, if they're like selling like a new vacuum cleaner or a new gadget or a new stereo, the room in the background looks absolutely gorgeous, but it's like empty, as if no one's even living there. Like, it's that kind of place. And I personally, there's a little bit of my personal taste. I love like minimalistic designs, very sparse designs, and like Scandinavian look, and so really sort of minimalist designs. But it also, I think it could be like a rule, like you don't want to go too crazy. You don't want to put too much stuff in the room, because the pictures will look much better. It's also easier if you have less stuff going on in the room, that the things that you do have, they come into its own.
They pop.
Right? They've got nothing else to compete with. If you have a vase and it's on there on its own, and there's nothing else going on, it will really stand out. If you have a vase next to like 5, 6 other vases, like, it's gonna look like, yeah, whatever. It's gonna look like a cluttered room, right? So yeah, I think minimalism is definitely something good, and it's practical as well, because people, when they come, they've got all their own stuff that they bring. So you don't have too much stuff in the room. You want them to have space for their stuff, right?
Right, and it's practical in the sense that it's a little less to clean.
Yeah,
as opposed
absolutely.
to stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
I like that was the word I was searching for, minimalist. So thank you for that. Now we're going to get into just a little bit of the kind of boring stuff for how you like run your business, just for a few minutes. Right. You're also on Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, Expedia, and Plum Guide, as well as your own direct website for bookings.
Yeah.
So Logistically, how does that work? Like, what sort of software? I'm assuming there's something to try to connect all these, and then at the end of it, like which method or which platform does the best for what you guys do?
Okay, so we use Guesty. There are a lot, that's our PMS system, like the property management system, PMS. And but we didn't always use Guesty. In the beginning, we used Airbnb, and then Airbnb, and then we start using booking.com. And then we synced our calendars in the beginning, with like iCal,
Yeah.
and that worked. That worked for a while. And then when we wanted to scale and start managing other people's properties, we needed something like where we can maybe send them a report or something, or like, get a little bit more, a bit more automation, and these systems like Airbnb, Booking.com, they don't offer like that kind of automation where your housekeepers can get notified, when they have to check in or have to check out, or when there's like weekly clean to be done. And so I was looking for, I was actually looking for like a year and a half, on and off, right? Not constant, like, was the perfect management system, the PMS. And I was looking at Hostfully, I was looking at Guesty, I was looking at so many of those systems. There's so many. If you look on Airbnb, like the ones that I support, it's like a whole page of them and of logos. And I settled on Guesty because they had an app. And for me, it's like on the move, I had to have an app.
Right.
And some PMS systems are like, yeah, but we have like this responsive website, and that works. It feels just like an app. And I say, okay, cool, but Guesty was like really offering lots of other stuff that I thought was really good for us, and so we stuck with them. I think they're probably the most expensive ones, though. So yeah.
Right, but I mean, it gives you access. You're literally on everything, so it seems like it's a good fit.
It's been really good because like we start getting, with the iCal thing, it was really problematic because we used Airbnb and Booking.com for a while, just those two. And sometimes we had double bookings because the iCal was only syncing like every 15 minutes or so. And sometimes we had people literally book in the same place. And then I had to call Booking.com and say like, oh, excuse me, but I just actually, that's taken. Oh, wow, we're gonna have to charge you like 50% or something, whatever fee, to cancel this because this person actually booked your place. And I was like, yeah, but the booking only came through like 3 minutes ago. I'm calling you right now. I'm sorry, but no, we have to charge you. And this happened quite a few times. So I got really sick of that. And I was like, you know what, I've got to make a choice now.
Yeah.
I was researching the PMS systems for such a long time. It's like, this is it. I've got to make a choice. Yes, it is. That's it. Sign up.
Right. Even though it's expensive, over the time, all those cancellation fees were probably going to add up to be quite expensive as well.
Yeah, and it's the pricing, the minimum night settings. You set it on the system, and it goes to all the platforms. It's so good from the pricing perspective, just to see everything on one screen, and whatever changes you make, it just goes to all the channels.
Oh, that's awesome.
That was like a godsend. Yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah.
So out of all the platforms that you're actually on, including your own direct website, what in your analytics, where is most people coming from nowadays?
Okay, so at the moment, it's like about, I would say, 30% direct. Then about, I would say, 40% Booking.com, 50% Booking.com, and 20% Airbnb. That's quite interesting because it used to be all Airbnb, a little bit of Booking.com, and non-direct. And then then Booking.com took over like a lot. I'm not sure why, but it just did. So we got a lot of Booking.com and less Airbnb. And since we have a direct booking website, it's getting more of let's say, a market share, only because I'm now like becoming only now like the last couple of months, especially for 2022, I want to become much more active on like Instagram and becoming really like, having like a personal brand and showing my face more and showing like, who's behind Meadow and that's actually driving people to our website rather than go to Airbnb, because on Instagram they can see our website and I'm like posting all this stuff and I can see every time somebody visits our website, I get a notification on my phone, and it tells me where in the world they are. So it's really cool.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I'm literally like going live on Instagram, and I can see like, oh, here Seattle, oh, here Hong Kong, here New York. And I can literally see them all pop up who are visiting my website as I'm talking. So it's quite cool to watch, actually.
That's awesome. That was actually my next question. How are you
Yeah.
marketing outside of being on those sites? I'm also a big proponent of, you're on Instagram. TikTok seems like it's for kids, but I know a lot of people drive a lot of business to TikTok.
Used to be for kids, but
Yeah.
not for the last 2 years, not anymore.
No, definitely. No, it's not anymore. And I'm a big proponent of, like, you maybe just show your day. Like, if you could have someone pretend like to get the keys. You could show your personal service and be like, this is what we do. And or there's just a whole bunch of things you can show besides just like your pretty pictures and stuff. And that can help drive business too, because it gets a little boring after a while. It's like, oh, there's just another pretty living room, this and that. But these platforms like TikTok and stuff, you do videos and just kind of like just show little parts of the daily life of the unit or the experience.
Absolutely. I mean, like social media is like super powerful. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm now like showing, or like doing like video walkthroughs. Like I did like a live video walkthrough, and we do competitions. Like we literally just had a person who won 2 free nights at our penthouse. So we actually run like giveaways. So we ran that for the last week, and so I did like a live results.
Right.
And people tuned in. We have people commenting, and there's a guy actually. I will give him a shout out to. He's probably Boostly, Mark from Boostly. He helped me sort of kick up my backside, basically. Like, come on, Raf, you need to do a bit more like social stuff. And so we did this competition, like a giveaway, and it was great. And now I'm doing much more of that. It's and going live. I was never going live on Instagram until I was doing the Boostly thing, and he kind of sort of said, "Oh, to announce the results, you should go live. It's the best thing to do because you get a lot of views, and people also see it's fair. You usually bring up like an iPad, run a piece of software, and they can see you're not sort of fiddling with the results, right?
Right.
So." And I was like, oh gosh, me going live, are you sure? Oh, I was really nervous about that. And it actually went really, very well. So now I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm going to do more live videos and it's all good. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of business you can get through what we thought were going to be silly things, because you're a little older like me. But yeah, they're just, it's the way the world is, and it's what drives business. It's very interesting.
Exactly.
Okay, so your next venture, obviously you got very nice places and you manage other people's places, but you're already into it and finishing it up. The coaching for people like me who want to attract that high end. So like, what is that going to look like if I was your client? Like, you don't have to go into all of it. We're gonna send people over to you, but just give a like synopsis of that.
It'll be very personal. Like, I'm actually just want to like follow you, like being like a mentor, like talking you through and follow you. That's the kind of thing that I would like to do. We would literally like tell you how to set a listing, and or if you're much more experienced and you already have a listing, how to elevate it, how to make it for a different market. Of course, you have to want to do that. There's this sort of thing. It's not for everyone. Some people want to just like do like a big land grab and just take everything that they can get their hands on, and doesn't really matter if it's like luxurious or not. But that's the kind of thing that I would like to teach in my coaching program, is where, how can you earn much more profit with a lot less properties? Because there's some people, they've got 50, 60 properties, and they earn less than me with 7, because their rates are so low and they go on the management model, which is another thing I can talk about. It's like rental arbitrage versus management model. One is more risky than the other, but it's much more profitable. So there's a lot of, we will teach all of that. But I definitely, I'll probably do like a first consultation call, something like 15 minutes or half an hour, just see, get a feel for what the person is looking for. And and see how that goes. We also, I want to say, like, we are looking to expand our own business, maybe going through like a franchise model. So we're looking how we can replicate what we're doing and having our own playbook, and then how partners who partner with us as franchisees can actually just replicate that model across the rest of the UK and the rest of the world. So we're looking for that as well. So we're working on all of that now. I'm talking with franchise experts right now, how we can set that all up. So there's another thing to look out for.
That's awesome. All right, Raph. So a bunch of people are going to be saying in the comments and stuff like, yeah, luxury is great and all, but what if you don't really have the money to set your place up for luxury?
Adam, that's a very good question. See, the thing is, there are so many ways you can usually utilize other people's money to do what you want to do. All you have to do is be a very, very good salesman. You have to believe in what you want to do. And if you can convince people, there's always people with money everywhere. If you have homeowners and you show that you're very professional, these homeowners would even say like, this is my place. I want you to make it look nice. He said, yeah, I'll need like £10,000. It was a real big place, maybe £20,000. And you say, look, but if you can show them the numbers and say, look, in 10 months, I will have this money back. The homeowner might go like, well, you know what? That's all right. I've got £20,000. Okay, just give me maybe like give him a nice little fee for that. Like a nice bit of interest, and he pays for it. There's angel investors. There's family, friends you can maybe ask for. You can hire furniture. You don't have to always have a big outlay. You can go to, you can rent it. There's so many ways you can do this. I was lucky enough I could purchase 2 penthouses and I had this vision, of going high end, and everything else followed from there. But if I didn't have the money to do that at that time, I would have done it this way, what I just said.
Right. That's yeah. There's money everywhere. And especially if you're doing your route with the management company for some of your properties, you just got to convince them to put a little bit more money in it for a larger return in the future.
Absolutely. And if you're working in that like high end space, these are people typically, was a couple of grand for them.
All right. Yeah. I want to mention something else we didn't touch on. Your website is also very sleek. Like you got to put some thought in your website. It can't just be thrown together, and it can't be just a mishmash of colors.
Yeah, it's very important. You have to think about like a luxury brand. When people go to buy a watch, are they going to buy a £200 watch, or are they going to buy like a Rolex? Like what is it about this brand? What is it about like the likes of like Apple or BMW or Mercedes, or like all these big brands? What's about these brands that make them feel luxurious? Visit those websites, see how they look and feel. It's all about that. And you can hire a web designer. You can get cheap templates online that feel luxurious. You can even go on Fiverr. Get a person, just see like what kind of websites they do, and you can pay them. I mean, I did the website myself, but just because I worked in that field. But there's so many people who can help you with that. But what's very important is that you have a very clear vision of how you want people to feel when they come to your site. It's very, very important. I cannot stress that enough, because if people come to your website and it looks a bit cheap and a bit sort of shabby here and there, and the color choices or the fonts are wrong, or straight away they know you're a fake, or something is not quite right. Something doesn't add up. It's gotta look really, really slick. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so everyone go check out the luxury brands, but also look at Raf's website down in the description, and you'll see exactly what he's talking about. And so I'm in the party rental industry. It's the same thing. If you have a lot of colorful things over there on your website, it's kind of like, you're kind of just like backyard kid party. But if you're trying to get the high-end weddings, it's nice and sleek, very simple, information's easy to find kind of thing.
Exactly.
So you got to keep in mind your website as well as just how your interior decorate.
Absolutely.
All right, Raf. Well, I thank you for being on. And again, everyone, check out the links in the description to get a hold of Raf directly for coaching and see all his properties if you're going to be staying out in London. Thank you very much, Raf.
Thank you very much, Adam. Take care.
You have a good one.